Welcome back to The Dot is Black. I'm David, and in this video I'd like to show you how to export transparent videos with processing in Adobe Premiere. This method works not only for Adobe products or like Premiere and After Effects, but also in Final Cut Pro or any other advanced video editing software. Here you can see my Premiere. It is a project that I have been working now for the past 2 months. It's quite advanced, because as you can see here, it's an 8 minutes long video, and on the top part you can see a lot of video sequences. All of those sequences are made with processing, and on the bottom part you can see audio layers. In this project I will talk maybe in a different video about this more specifically to perhaps share with you my own experience, but as you can see already, each video sequence has a particular object with a particular movement that is perfectly synchronized with the audio layer, with an audio layer, specific audio layer. And that's why they kind of repeat here continuously. Now it's very important, if I overlap different kinds of sequences, I need to either multiply them, it works with, or screen them with a blend mode. It works with a black background when the images are, the visuals are black and white only, and there is just a very strong contrast, but it doesn't work with colors necessarily. So I have to work here with transparent videos. And let me show you in that case here, in this particular case, you can see on the left hand side, typical videos. These are just MP4 files, and they are not transparent, whereas on the right hand side I have transparent videos. Now usually these videos, they will be at normal blend mode, so there is no effects, nothing, and they basically stack on top of each other, and the top layer will be only visible in the video. Whereas the other one, the bottom part, the vertical lines, cyan vertical lines, they are not visible because the red circle is overlapping them, or at least the black background. In order to remove it, there are a couple of options. Usually the best way to do it is with the screen blend mode, and then it nicely overlaps the bottom layer. However, as you can see already, certain parts here, they become differently, the colors. And I don't actually want it. I want that the red circle is on top of the lines. So the lines should not be visible where the circle is. Likewise, the bottom layer also I need to screen it. As you can see now, even the background is blue, the red circle becomes something like a magenta or pink. And that's because of the blend mode. So this effect of this blend mode with screen works actually pretty well with black and white graphics or animations. However, it doesn't work really with colors. So the only option that we have here now is to work with transparent videos. And on the right hand side is what I just did in a few minutes ago. You can see here the top layer is the red circle, and there is no blend mode. Likewise, the vertical lines are also normal without any blend mode, and it works perfectly. And as you can see here also, the red circle becomes black until it completely vanishes. Whereas here, the red circle or magenta now is just transparent, so we don't see it anymore. Now, so how to export transparent videos? Let's have a look. When we go to processing, you can see here this very basic sketch of this ellipse, red ellipse, that is basically shrinking, and while it shrinks, it changes the color from red to black. Yeah, so this is the code. It's very simple. Now, there are of course two options how to export it. First of all, you can use the export library by Adobe, and you just use record video, and then you also say when it's supposed to exit it. Or you can save each individual frame and then combine it together with the Movie Maker into an MOV file. However, this problem has that you always export a background with it, and MP4 files, likewise with the export library, you cannot export transparent videos. To export a transparent video, or at least to create transparent images, transparent frames, we know we need to work with PGraphics, as we know this from the previous video on how to export transparent images. And so basically I just set up here the PGraphics layer, PG, and then also specify in the setup how big is this layer, and I use just exactly the same window size, so basically it's full HD, and then I assign each of the attributes and also the object to the layer of PG, or the class PG. Additionally, don't forget to maybe add here in the beginning begin draw, and also say where it's supposed to finish the layer. And then of course we can show it with the image, but now the most important part is we want to save each individual frame from this PG layer. And we already know it from the past, from previous videos, that we cannot use saveFrame for PGraphics because there is an error, of course. So how do we do this? Well, this is of course wrong, and we have to delete this actually. How do we do this? We have to save each individual frame with psave. But psave is always saving only one image, and it doesn't count actually, doesn't count the images. So we can use a trick. We can first specify the folder name, then we add frame count, and then we also specify the type of image, PNG, because it saves transparent images, and frame count, so every frame that that processing is running, basically it saves the images, the transparent images. So that's actually quite an easy way to do it. Basically what's happening is the frame count is actually this part. Now, very important thing, when you save PGraphics to export transparent videos, of course you want to have each frame a new type of image. If you don't use clear with PGraphics, then every time processing is running, it will always add on top of the previous one another drawing on top of it. It's similar as you would not have any background in your drawing. So we have to always use pclear, and this pgclear must be after we save the image. So every time it goes through, it saves the image, then it clears it, it's blank again, and then it goes back to the beginning and it restarts to draw again the ellipse, but at a different coordinate or a different size and with a different filling value. So then you just run it and then you export it. So I just did this already, of course, and I have it here, frames. So you can see I exported 400 frames, and the circle is of course from red to black, and it's also shrinking at the same time. Now I copy the path, and then we go back to Premiere. Back in Premiere, I already cleaned this up, and on the left hand side we can see the previous videos without the transparency, and on the right hand side I want to add the transparent video. So the first thing we do is we go to File and then we import. And this method works the same way for After Effects. It works also the same way for Final Cut Pro. You might just have a kind of different interface here. But the most important part is, of course, first you go to the folder where your images are, and those are my images here, and then I select the first file, the first PNG file, the first transparent file. Now, very important, select image sequence. Very important, because if you don't do this, it will import only one image. And if you import maybe all the images, so you have like 410 images or 11 images without the image sequence, then you will have in your folder here in Premiere, you will have 400 individual images that you have to combine all manually. But to avoid this, of course, you just select the first one of the sequence, and then you select image sequence, and then Premiere will count them 1, 2, 3, and then combine them all into one file. So I now press open, and there it is already. We can see already 30 frames per second, that's standard. And before I put this inside, I just rename it. I say circle shrink, and then I say transparent. Okay, and now I just move it inside, and there it is already. We have the circle. It's a bit longer than before because I didn't adapt the speed, but it's okay. Now you can see already I have this circle, and it's perfectly transparent with the background. So you can see here in this little thumbnail, it is actually black. Black means in that case it's transparent. There is no information, but the background is blue. And I think that works pretty well. Now I can also take these glowing lines, which I will make later a different tutorial on this. how to make those glowing lines, and yep, so you can see the red circle remains on top of it and it becomes black without any problems, unlike the previous video where it's merging with it. So that's not what we want actually here. While editing the video, I actually almost forgot to show you how to export this sequence as a transparent video actually. We're working with it, but we didn't export. So what I do now, I'm just taking this sequence here to the right side to it be more clearer. Then I specify the export range, and then I go to File, Export, Media. So that's the general way. Now you have, of course, a couple of options. Usually you can export transparent videos with AVI format, video format, or QuickTime. In this case, I use right now QuickTime. The presets I don't really care. What I care is about going to the video and selecting the video codec. And in that case, it should be animation. Animation is very important because then we can also, of course, export transparent values inside. The next thing about the video settings, so you can specify them or you can do it manually, but I rather use right now match the source, and then I check whether that's the case. So quality is 100, frame rate 30, progressive, and aspect ratio is 1.0. So that's the standard thing. Now, very important, it's about the depth. Standard wise, it is 8 bpc. So that means you don't export any alpha value or the transparency value. So the background will be black. If you want to export with transparent background, you need to select 8 bpc plus alpha. Alpha is, of course, the transparent value, the fourth value. And then you can add additional information here or additional settings. You can click on it if it's necessary to you, specify the output name, and then export. And then you have a transparent video that you can also share with your clients. In Adobe After Effects, it's basically the same thing. Adobe After Effects is perhaps better because you can also add your own, you can also add more effects to it, to your exports. But if you want to export a transparent video, so you go to Import File, click on this, and then you select again, the same as in Premiere, you select the first PNG file from the sequence that you exported in processing, and again, select or tag PNG sequence. If you don't do this, you get only imported one image, or you have to do everything manually. So PNG sequence, then you click import, and there it is already. We can see it's 30 frames already. So now we say a new composition from the selection, and that's our video by now. You can of course change here the speed of it, adjusting it, because actually I prefer to have it 60 frames per second. So you have to maybe make a few adjustments to it. But then the next step is export this, and you say export, add to render key. And then here, very important, once you are already in that part, to select, instead of lossless, you can select AVI or QuickTime. So before we did QuickTime, it's basically the same. Here you have to go to video output channels or color channels, and then not only RGB, but actually RGB plus alpha. So like in processing, you write always in the colors red, green, blue, and then the fourth value is the transparency. So that's what we want to do. And then I say, okay. Here you specify the file name and where you want to save it or render, and then you press render. Okay, that's it basically. There's not much to say to this, but I think while I was working on the video, on this video production, while I was doing this, I thought about that actually I missed something in the previous 5 videos on video export. And this might not be useful at the moment to most of you who work actually with videos. However, at a certain point in time, if you work with videos, you definitely, this option, this method will be very, very useful to you. If you work with processing, you develop your codes and your animations, and you would like to export them. And that's of course also additionally, it works, you open up your opportunities. Maybe you have clients who want to buy from you a particular sketch or particular animation that they would like to use for their own videos, or maybe as a logo, or maybe as a composition part of their videos. So this option is definitely very useful to know, and it opens up a lot of new opportunities. So I hope this was useful to you, and if you have any questions, please ask them in the comments. Otherwise, thank you for your support and thanks for watching.